Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Lateral Thrills video. It is April 21st. Kennywood opens tomorrow, and boy am I excited. The day before the park opens, I would like to rank every flat ride at the park. Kennywood has a very well kept collection of classic flat rides. Some disclaimers before this video starts. Of course, Spin Evasion won't be included on this list. I will also be including rides the park removed in 2020 as means of respect. I will not be including Kittyland rides on this list. With all that information out of the way, let's start the rankings. Starting off with number 15 is Volcano. This is a Huss Enterprise ride. I never rode this, but I think I have a good reason not to. This ride goes up in a circle and it inverts. This ride honestly does not look fun at all and not enjoyable. Number 14 is Aero 360. This ride inverts and no thank you. This ride was closed last year most of the time after a major incident happened. The ride hung with riders upside down for a couple minutes, and since that happened, there's been a ton of downtime for this ride, and it makes sense. In my opinion, this would be a great ride to replace and put in a drop tower, as I think this ride will be in the chopping block soon. I do like how the ride is Kennywood arrows, as it makes the ride more unique compared to other models, but I would still like to see this removed in the future. Number 13 is Black Widow. I haven't ridden Aero 360 or Black Widow, as honestly I have no desire to ride. This ride has seen a lot of downtime over the years. It is a unique model from other Frisbee rides, as right as the ride starts, the floor pulls away from you. This looks very intense as it swings back and forth. This goes really high in the air, as you can see the ride from the skyline coming off the Rankin Bridge. Overall, too intense for me, as I am like the general public, but great for thrill seekers. Number 12 is Swingshot. Noticing a trend here? Yes, I don't like my flat rides to be intense, as I prefer my coasters to be intense. But this is an S&S Scream and Swing. I have never rode this again, as it looks too intense for me. I do like that the ride sort of interacts with Kennywood Boulevard, but not really. The ride is also very loud. This is getting a repaint this year, so it should look sharp, as last year it was definitely starting to fade a bit, but I'm glad this is getting a repaint. In my opinion, based off the POV, this looks like the most intense flat ride in the park. Sorry, Black Widow and Aero 360 fans. Number 11 is Musik Express. This is your normal carnival ride. This is a moderate intensity as you go around in circles, and it looks like you get some decent laterals with some turns. I get squished enough on the Thunderbolt, and honestly, the person I go to the park with does not like this ride very much, so I haven't got the opportunity to ride this yet. One last thing to note is this ride looks stunning at night. Number 10 is Gran Prix. This is your standard bumper cars ride. These don't look as good as the ones at Knoebels, but by the looks of the ones at Knoebels, no bumper cars will ever be that good. One thing to note is that this ride has terrible operations. When at holiday lights, this thing would be a consistent hour wait. I recommend this ride being one of the first you hit, as this ride can get a longer wait later in the day, so hit it first. Lastly, about the operations, this thing has a terrible capacity, only taking 7 to 10 riders per cycle, and I know this is similar to operations, but I just wanted to make note of that. Number 9 is Cosmic Chaos. This is a spinning disco from Zamperla. This isn't like some disco rides, as it is shorter and doesn't have a hill in the middle. I've never ridden this, but I plan to ride it later this summer, as I want to, but the person I go with does not want to. This ride will look striking for 2023, as it has just gotten a repaint to be orange and green, with this color scheme matching with the new 412 area. Number 8 is Bayern Kurve. This is a ride from Schwarzkopf. This looked thrilling as I never got to ride it, as I never liked rides like this back in 2019. This ride was removed in 2020. I really wish I would have ridden this, but there will be one at Knoebels this year, and I hope to ride it when I go. I always thought the horn on the ride was annoying, but I really miss this ride, and I am upset at the park for removing it. Number 7 is the merry-go-round. Yes, that is its real name. This is your standard carousel. This is an old antique ride, and I do really like the music playing band organ. This is a pretty iconic ride, as I rode it a couple years ago, a record 8 times on one of my visits. I not only ride it once every time I go, as it feels wrong to not ride it. Honestly, it's a great centerpiece for the park, and I hope it is never removed. It probably won't be. Number 6 is Pirate. This is your normal swinging ship ride. I love to go right to the back on this ride, as going up as high as possible will make my stomach drop. This ride surprisingly has some really nice theming around it, and I am proud for Kennywood to make these theming great. I'm surprised it is called Pirate, as I usually call it Pirate Ship. Number 5 is Wave Singler. This is a swinging ride. This ride is not intense at all, and it gives you a nice view of Lost Kennywood. This ride looks beautiful at nighttime, and just like the rest of the park does. Come on, Kennywood. We want more night rides back. Anyways, this ride has minimal weights and is a very nice ride after you get off the Pittsburgh Plunge or Raging Rapids. Number 4 is Paratrooper. This ride is named after the ride model Paratrooper. This ride was nice, but it was removed in 2020. It was cool to see all the trash and leaves on top of the Midway refreshment stand. It is surely a shame that this was removed, as it was nice to go from Kangaroo to Paratrooper, as they were right next to each other. Number 3 is Whip. This is a classic ride that is freshly repainted for 2023. There used to be a pavilion on top of this ride, but it was removed after a microburst tore through this area and killed multiple people. This ride was nice, but last year, on a couple rides, the ride would almost jump the track or hit a very rough patch, and it was pretty unbearable. I hope with this refurbishment, the park claimed to do this year, that the problem is fixed. Number 2 is Kangaroo. This was new for 2022 after it was removed in 2020. This was refurbished by Premier Rides, and I vastly preferred the 2020 edition of the ride, as the cycle was longer and you would get more airtime in the 2020 version. They added a seatbelt to the 2022 version, and this does not make a difference, but for some people it was harder to get in. The ride cycle is shorter and gives less airtime, and this does impact the ride experience, which makes it much worse. Still a good ride, but just not what it used to be. This used to be my favorite flat ride in the park, but no longer. I must note, the background is simply beautiful. And number 1 is Turtle. This tumblebug is by far my favorite flat ride. You can get some amazing views of the Phantom and Thunderbolt. My favorite part of the ride is usually when the speaker where the operator speaks out of says, "Turtle, turtle, turtle, turtle." This is the last tumblebug in the world, and the theming is great, and honestly, I just love everything about this ride. And kudos to Kennywood for keeping this ride up, and even all of the flat rides in the park well maintained. Well, that does it for my Kennywood flat rides. I know I am like the general public, but some of these rides are just too intense and spin much and go back and forth too much for me. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next week.